Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name's Em, and if you saw the title of today's video, then you know this week I'm going to be reading as many library books as I possibly can. Now, I'm recording this intro in the future, so let's rewind to past Emily and see what library books I'm going to be reading this week. Back from the library, and I have a stack that I am definitely not gonna be able to read in 1 week. It's absolutely insane, but I have it. Some of these were already in my house, and most of these were impulse grabs at the library, which was the goal. So we're just gonna go through them really fast. Pink Slime, this is a novel in translation. It's a new release. I really just checked it out because of the title. I think it's a pandemic book. Yep, in a city ravaged by a mysterious plague, a woman tries to understand why her world is falling apart. I guess this is like an algae bloom situation, so love that for me. All right, and then the next one is Open Throat. This is maybe technically a novella. It's a very small book. And this is a book from the perspective of a mountain lion who lives in LA and is like, lives under the Hollywood sign and is queer in some way. I don't know. I love that it's like, you know, big format. Like, I think I could read this in a day. So I love that. And I've heard it I've heard it recommended on a podcast that I listen to, and then a booktuber I follow. I can't remember who, but just read this and loved it. It might have been Jan Agaton, maybe? But I can't remember. I'm interested in it. It sounds weird. Really, this was almost an I'm gonna read weird books vlog, and then just turned into a library vlog. I also have Night Shift by Annie Crown. This is a contemporary romance that I believe takes place at a college, and I really got it because it gives me One Tree Hill vibes. He's a basketball player. I believe she tutors him. I don't know. And if you know anything about me, I love One Tree Hill. It's like my favorite CW teen soap opera type show. I love it so much. I may have named one of my children partially after a character from this TV show. I just love it. I might read this, even though I don't think I'm gonna like it. And it's published by Wattpad, so like, I have concerns. But it reminds me of One Tree Hill. And then I got Running Close to the Wind by Alexandra Rowland. This is their newest release. Their newest release. No, I have not read A Taste of Golden Iron or whatever it's called, but this is pirates, and it's sapphic, maybe? I don't know. It's gay, and that's really all I need, and it's pirates. It's kind of chunky. I haven't read Alexandra Rowland, so like, they seem like an author I would really dig, but I just don't know. But this was comped to If You Like Our Flag Means Death. I am a little concerned that the type is small. and that it's not even 400 pages. Oh, it's 430 pages. I'm gonna be honest, this looks much chunkier than 430 pages. I thought for sure this was a 530 page book, but oh well. And then I got What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. I actually have already started this. I've had this checked out from the library on ebook for a little over a week, but I am a painfully slow reader when I'm reading an ebook, and I don't get sucked into the story in quite the same way. And I'm really enjoying this when I do pick it up, and so I saw the physical and I thought I'd just grab it just to see if maybe I can go a little bit faster with it than I go on my ebook. I do actually have this on audio as well, but I listened to the audiobook and I really just like the narrator's voice for, oh, I just forgot her main character's name, for Inez. It's like her voice is so high pitched, it's so breathy, and I don't like it at all. I'm like, just because she's young does not mean she needs to have that high pitched breathy voice. Can we not do that, please? I can only read with my eyeballs, but I'm gonna try it out. This is like historical, kind of The Mummy. I think there's a romance. There's a fantasy element too. The magic system's been introduced. I don't really understand it. That's okay. I'm not very far. I think I'm maybe 50, 60 pages in. So I got, oh, there's illustrations. Did I get to that yet? I don't think I've gotten to the illustrations yet. Were there illustrations before? Oh, no, there's not. Okay, I was about to be mad. And then, okay, the last two, I got Chaos Terminal by Mur Lafferty. This is book 2 in the Midsolar Murders series. If you saw my catching up on my reading goals video, this was one of the sequels I was debating reading. I don't know if I'll actually read this week, but I have it if I want it. And then kind of along that line is A River of Golden Bones by A.K. Milford. Now, listen, I have had, what is her other book called? I have had the audiobook of The High Mountain Court, like owned it for 6 months, maybe a year. Have I read that? No, but this cover's so pretty. Also, I 100% did not know that A.K. Milford was a feminine type person. I definitely thought A.K. Milford was a dude. That's okay. I'm still gonna read it. I still have a good time. This is solely a cover checkout. I think this cover is stunning. I love it. I don't know if the inside is going to match the outside, but I can't wait to check it out. So yeah, that is my very ambitious stack. What I'm going to try to read this week, because some of these I've had checked out for quite a bit. Like Pink Slime, this is due back really soon, and it's new, so I cannot return it, or I can't renew it. So if I return it, I just have to check it out again. Same with this one. Oh man, violence against library books. And this one's new too, but at least I've started this one. So anyways, okay, there we go. Wish me luck. Friends. Well, as you saw, I started this vlog with Open Throat by Henry Hoke this morning, and I read this in basically one sitting. I got stopped 5 pages from the end because my kids woke up and so I was helping them with breakfast, but basically it was one sitting. And I'll be honest, I have no idea what rating I'm going to give this book. It is such a quick read. I forget what I said when I was going through my library haul, but this is from a cougar's perspective, and this cougar lives in LA under Hollywood, in a park under the Hollywood sign, and it's an odd book. I'll just say that. It's very odd. The cougar goes around to different areas. It observes humans and overhears their conversations, and a fire in the park ends up pushing this cougar out into the neighborhood where it meets a human. And I found the park stuff interesting. and the cougar's thoughts, and like at one point it reflects back on its childhood or cubhood and it's the dynamic it had with their parents. And so that was all odd and weird, but also really engaging. And then once it got into like the neighborhood, then I feel like it took on like, I mean, maybe the whole thing is supposed to be satire, but it felt very satirical and absurd in nature, and like purposefully absurd, but just in a way I wasn't totally ready for. But I have no idea what my rating is, but I enjoyed it, I think, for the most part. I don't know, but I mean, it's such a short read. I think it maybe took me an hour, maybe. So if you are a fan of weird books, weird fic weird lit fic, maybe check this out. The next book I'm going to start is another what I think will be weird book, and that is Pink Slime by Fernanda Trias, and this is translated by Heather Cleary. And I think this is a pandemic book, a dystopian, and I have no idea if I'll like this or not. I feel like I might not, because it's also weird lit fic. That's not always my jam, but I'm gonna give it a try and see how it goes. Okay, I'm gonna have to pause to charge my battery, but I wanted to give you an update for Pink Slime really quick. We are following a main character. Ooh, just a minute. We are following, oh, do I know her? We don't know her name, or why do I keep reading these books with unnamed female protagonists? Anyways, we have an unnamed female main character who lives in a city, and there is this algae bloom that has poisoned the air, and it blows in from the ocean. And if you get this illness, at first it manifests like a fever or a cold, but it ends up making people's skin deteriorate and like just flake off their body, and like to the point where their organs are exposed, and it's super contagious. And so it's really awful. It's really awful. And she lives in this apartment, and she is paid to take care of this little boy who has some sort of disease that's kind of hinted at. And her husband, who she's estranged from, has gotten the disease, and he's in the hospital, and her mother is living in like this community, and their relationship is really tenuous. So she doesn't really have anybody that she can lean on or support. And so it's a mix of following her throughout her life. Like it starts with the boy going home to his family who lives in the country for the weekend, which he does once a month. And so she like has the time and the freedom to now go and do all this stuff that she only gets to do when the boy is gone. So she's going to visit her mother, she's going to visit her husband, and then she's going home. And so it's a little like mundane day in the life at first, but then we're also getting flashbacks to when she and her husband were younger and like first dating and falling in love. And so I'm not quite sure where we're going, what the plan is. It is kind of interesting. It's also kind of stressful, especially like the way they talk about masks and quarantine and the way people react, the various ways people react to a pandemic. Obviously it's influenced by our own pandemic, and so that can be kind of stressful sometimes and a little triggering. So I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, but I do also have it on audio, and I've listened to the narrator read books before, and I really like her as a narrator, so I like listening to her talk. We'll see where this goes, but this is definitely like way outside what I would normally reach for. But anyways, I'm gonna keep on keeping on and charge my camera battery, and I will update later. Good morning, friends. It's Monday, and I did finish Pink Slime by Fernanda Trias this morning, and this book is so sad. I'm not really sure what my rating is going to be either. When I saw Pink Slime as the title and I saw this cover, I'm going to close the window. I just, for whatever reason, thought this was going to be more of a fun time than it was. Instead, this is incredibly depressing. The pink slime isn't really referenced. We're just following this woman as like she navigates the day-to-day life of being in a pandemic and climate crisis at the same time, and like a pandemic that's brought on by climate crisis because the pink algae is spread by the ocean and then by the wind. And so yeah, so it's like the mundane day-to-day life, but then she's also going to look through a lot of like existential stuff. There was some language with the boy that she nannies, Maro, who has a syndrome that makes it so that he never feels full. He's always hungry, and it never says how old he is. And I had a hard time figuring out how old he is because in a lot of ways he acts like an older toddler or like a pre-K aged kid, so maybe like 4, 5 at a stretch. But then at one point her mother says something about him being old enough to be left at home by himself, which then made me think that maybe he's like 9 or 10, I don't know. And they never say how old he is, and so that makes it hard to gauge. But he, even if he's older developmentally, he is younger. And there is just some language around his body because of how he's never full. He is always wanting to eat, and she has to lock away food, and she thinks about how his family pays her to try to keep him thin. But when she talks about like touching his body, like when she's giving him a bath or helping him get dressed or like physically removing him from harm, the way she talks about like the flesh around his abdomen and like his neck, and just it just was weird. And I don't know if that's just a product of the translation, but it always kind of skeeved me out when that popped up. So I think I'm gonna give this a 2-star purely based on enjoyment because I definitely had to like put this down yesterday because it was making me really sad and it was making me really anxious. And I did pick it back up this morning. Luckily I only had an hour left on audio. And the ending was also really weird, and there wasn't really any resolution to anything, and so I was just struggling with kind of what the point is. This is maybe a good reminder of why I don't read litfic very often. Not the time I was hoping for, but I did step out of my comfort zone, so that's always a good thing to do. And I don't read a ton of work in translation, and I think now I've read 2 translated books this month, so not too shabby. And then I also, okay, so once I decided last night that Pink Slime was too sad, I needed another audiobook to listen to while I made dinner. And A River of Golden Bones, the audio is available on Hoopla. I did not know this was a werewolf story. I mean, I could have if I'd read the synopsis, but I did not read the synopsis. I don't think I even paid enough attention to the cover to realize that there's like, it's so shiny, a wolf head right here. Surprise, surprise. So I only read the first chapter. We'll see how this goes. Vico Ortiz does the audiobook, so that's always a good time. And then at bedtime last night, I read more of What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez, and I'll say I wish I liked this audiobook. I know I already said that. I'm going to say it again because I would have easily listened to this last night while I was making dinner. I wish I liked this on audio because I would have listened to it, but the narrator's voice is just too high-pitched. But like, just because she's young doesn't mean her voice needs to be all high and squeaky. Anyways, so I continue to read this. This is such a fun time. Have I said what this is about? I don't know. This is about Inez, who lives in Argentina, and her parents will come home for a little bit and then leave, and they spend most of their lives in Egypt, in Cairo specifically, doing archaeological expeditions, and they leave Inez in the care of her aunt. And then one day Inez gets a letter that her parents have died, and so she quickly hops on a boat and heads over to Egypt to figure out what the heck happened. And this got compared to The Mummy quite a bit. It's supposed to be a romance, and it's magical realism, maybe light fantasy. There's no more magic in this world, but there used to be, and that magic has left its imprint in certain objects, and so you can use the objects as, you can feel the magic in the items, basically. I'll say who I think is going to be the love interest, Wit, who is her uncle's assistant. I know he's British, but I just keep picturing Brendan Fraser from The Mummy. So he has an American accent in my head, and I don't know what to do about it, and I don't even know if I want to fix it. So this is really good. It's really easy to read. I have a fun time. I have a hard time picking it up at night. No, I have a hard time putting it down once I pick it up in the evening. So I just wish I liked the audiobook because I'd be reading it so much faster. But these are the 2 current reads, and hopefully I will have more to update you on tomorrow. Hi friends, I owe you a reading update. I'll be honest, it's not going great. The mid-month squirrel brain is in full effect, and sitting down to read is so hard right now. I want to read. I want to sit down and I want to fall into a book, but I'm either interrupted 5 seconds in, or I don't have the attention span, or I feel like I have too many things that I need to do, and I don't feel like I have the free time to just sit down. So it's just squirrel brain. It's almost constant squirrel brain. And the thing that kills me is that the Olympics are over, so I can't even blame the Olympics anymore. No, it's just me. It's a me problem. So I am really liking What the River Knows. I'm about halfway through, and I am having a really fun time with it. I think this is a really fun historical, magical realism adventure. I'm confused on if this is YA or if this is adult, but like maybe new adult. I don't know. It was in the YA section of the library I got it at, but it's got a really interesting mix of adult authors and YA authors on the back. So I don't know. If you know what age category this book falls into, let me know. Not liking the audiobook is so hard because I just want to listen to this audiobook while I'm doing chores. But I hate the audiobook, and I know that will make me hate the book, so I'm not picking up the audio. I did read a chapter of A River of Golden Bones. Like I said, I haven't picked it up since. It's been like 2-3 days, and I don't really want to listen to this one on audio, so I haven't been picking it up. I did download the audiobook for Night Shift from Hoopla, but again, I just haven't been compelled to pick it up. And then I got a text message from my library today that this book that I've had on hold for a long time finally came in, and it's a new book. So if I'm gonna read it, I have to read it. But do I want to derail all my reading plans to read this book? Or do I want to stay the course and finish out this vlog with the books that I had said I would read, that I got The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst? And yes, this is cozy fantasy. And yes, I have kind of been suspecting that maybe I don't love cozy fantasy the way I feel like I should. But I also have seen really good reviews for this, and people that like the same books that I really like have had a really good time reading this. I have the audiobook on Libro FM. I don't know what to do. Oh, this font size is very pleasing to my eyes. I don't know why, but like, doesn't that look nice on the page? Look how big. No shade to, let's not go where I haven't read yet. I don't want to read spoilers. No shade to What the River Knows, but like, look how big that text is. That is great. For my 40-year-old eyes, this is great. Also, why did they do this for the teen books? The teens have great eyes. Like, that's the best condition your eyes are ever going to be in. Why do they need the large print? I need the large print for my eyes that are struggling to focus, and I'm living in fear every day that I'm going to have to get reading glasses on top of my seeing regular things glasses. So yeah, for adult, I like this a lot. What is the font? Since we're doing a tour of the font size of books. Oh yeah, this one's good too. That's not too bad. So anyway, so I don't know what to do. Squirrel brain is squirreling. My mic is unplugged. Love that for me. There you go. And I just don't know what to do. It's so hard to be a grown-up. I also have a lot of decision fatigue right now, which is not helping. much to like my children's dismay. I had to explain decision fatigue to my 8-year-old earlier today. It's safe to say they don't get it, which is fair. But I just don't know. I just don't know what I want to do. And I think I'm reading too many things, which happens. So I need to get some focus. I need to come up with a plan and then use the rest of this week to implement this plan, because I want to end this vlog on Friday and it is currently Tuesday. And honestly, I've just been reading this for too long and I need to finish it up, because the longer I read a book, the less I enjoy it. And I'm getting close to that cutoff point, that very arbitrary cutoff point. So I need to get that done. Okay, so I need to figure out my plan. You don't need to see me figure out my plan, because I'm sure that will just be boring. But I'm going to go figure that out while I do dishes and listen to not an audiobook. I'm going to listen to a podcast, because that's what I've been picking up instead of audiobooks lately. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Hi everyone, I'm at work and I'm about to go in, but I wanted to give you a real quick update. I ended up making a little page in my reading journal last night. I'll show you it somewhere. And it's not fancy, but it gives me some structure for the next 4 days. I think I went until Saturday on that. And then I went ahead and I did all my page tabs in the various books so that I can stay on track and keep myself accountable and feel like I'm making progress and not just like floundering in my indecision. And it's worked out great so far. I read 50 pages of What the River Knows last night, and I was supposed to read 1 chapter of the werewolf book, and then I ended up reading 2.5 chapters, 2 3/4 chapters. I was so close to the end of the 3rd and I just couldn't keep my eyes open anymore, and so I just went to bed. And then today I think I'm supposed to read like 66 pages of What the River Knows, and I only have like a chapter left. Last night and this morning I just turned on Pomodoro timer videos on YouTube, where it's the 25 minutes on and then a 5-minute break, and those help so much when I have squirrel brain, because even if I can't focus, it's just for 25 minutes. It's just for 25 minutes and there's a timer. And I did really struggle with my attention span last night. I found myself checking that timer a lot to see how much longer I had left. But then by like the second sprint, I was like, I had grooved into like, okay, we're sitting down, we're reading, we're focusing, it's fine. And then this morning it was a little bit better. I don't know, I'm not having as much fun with this book now as I was at the beginning. I'm finding myself very aware of the fact that I'm reading a book, which isn't like my favorite. When I'm reading, I like to fall into the story more, but I'm just very aware that I am holding a book and I am reading words on a page, and then I'm turning the page, and I'm not fully immersed. There was also a reveal that I read last night, and then a twist that had to do with that reveal that I knew was coming. Like, as soon as the reveal happened, I was like, oh, this is going to be the next thing that happens. And I was right. And I hate that, because I'm not like a reader who tries to predict what's going to happen. And I didn't even try to predict. That was just like the logical step my brain took. And then I was right. So I'm kind of mad about that. I also wish there was more romance in this than there was. I don't know. It's fine. I don't know that I necessarily buy the romance, so I wish there was more of it so that I could feel like it was believable. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see at the ending. I've heard that there's a twist at the end, or a reveal, or something happens at the end that's pretty exciting. So I'm gonna hold my final judgment until I get to that part, which might be tomorrow. I'm supposed to read 77 pages tomorrow and finish this puppy up. But that's your update for now. I need to go into work, and I'll see y'all later. Okay, I've been putting off telling you this all day, but we gotta talk about it. We gotta talk about A River of Golden Bones. So I am 58 pages in, chapter 8, and I am bored, sad to say. And I've been thinking about it all day, about why I'm bored, and if I want to give it more time, or if I just want to cut my losses and DNF. So this story is, we have twins, Kala and Briar, and they are, I think, the descendants of Sleeping Beauty. I don't know, there's a lot of going on in this book. They're also werewolves. A lot going on in this book. And Kala is the younger twin and has always been a secret. Like, nobody knows that there is a second princess. And Briar is the sister that has been brought up as like the public facing princess, and she's going to be like, she's the one who has like the royal marriage arranged, and she's the one that's going to save the kingdom, and Kala just has to go under the radar. And the book starts when Briar and Kala are going to journey to the kingdom for the prince that Kala is going to marry, but Briar is in love with the prince that Kala is going to marry. No, Kala is in love with the prince that Briar is going to marry. God, I hope I didn't mix up their names. So one of my struggles is I feel like this book is doing too much, because there's werewolves, but then there's also fairy tales. But then there's also kind of like a Frozen dynamic, because we have like a special sister and then like an ordinary sister. Maybe that's just me, but that's what I'm picking up from it. So we have a lot of things going on. And then the other thing is I've almost exclusively been listening to this on audio, and Vico Ortiz is reading the audio. And I love Vico Ortiz as an actor, but in the past experience I have found listening to books that they narrate, their voice is so chill that the books end up feeling really boring for me, because I just don't hear any like urgency in their voice. Which is a bummer, because like I said, I really like them as an actor, but I just don't think their voice quality really works for me as an audiobook experience. So I am perhaps going to try just reading a couple of chapters with my eyeballs and see if that helps with my engagement. But this may be a DN. Also, I'm confused on if this is YA or if this is adult. I am pretty sure this came from like the adult section of the library, but it reads like a YA book, which is fine, but that's not what I picked it up wanting. I picked it up wanting an adult fantasy, not a YA fantasy. We shall see how this goes. But yeah, if you've read this, I would love to know your thoughts. And if you haven't read this, but you've read A.K. Mulford's 5 Crowns of Okrith series, the one that starts with the king and the high prince in the mountain, high king in the mountain is high, river is low. What is it called? Why is it not in here? Okay, that's so frustrating. Anyways, yeah, romantasy, I don't know. I'm not engaged in the way that I hope to be engaged, we'll put it that. So I guess I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to go read a couple of chapters and then see what I think. But as we know, I've got too much to read to fight with a book that I'm not digging. Hi all, I desperately owe you an update. I had an incredible busy day with work today, but if I don't give you the update now, I'm gonna forget everything. So we're just gonna push through and do the best we can. Okay, first up, I did finish What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez this morning, and I have thoughts. I definitely found myself losing interest a little bit towards the end, which is feels so silly because it gets so fast paced towards the end. Like there's just one thing after another, almost too much, maybe. It felt like the stakes weren't really very high, but then something happened where the stakes got moved up, and I think the ending, I don't know, I was leaning towards it being a 3.5 stars, and the ending might bump it up to a 4. Because, I don't know, it was kind of predictable. I mean, it's definitely like a twist, but I think it's kind of a predictable twist, maybe, but it was still fun and exciting, and I'm going to be interested to see, like, I will definitely read book 2 when it comes out, I think in November. I don't feel like this is a series that I need to own. I'm perfectly happy to get it from the library, but I do think this was really fun, and like I said, I don't necessarily buy the romance, but I think this is a really fun, like, adventure historical magical realism type book. I'm still not sure if this is YA or adult. Couldn't tell you, but I thought it was fun. So, and then in a shocking twist, I don't think anybody expected. I love this. I started Night Shift last night, right after the kids got in bed. I read 148 pages in one sitting. And I seriously debated staying up to finish the whole book in one sitting. If I had been getting good sleep this week, I probably would have, but my sleep has been trash all week. And I've either been woken up by a cat or a child or a husband, and I just needed one night where nobody woke me up. So I was exhausted last night, but if it had been like a week of good sleep, I probably would have read this in one sitting. I am just picturing Nathan and Haley from One Tree Hill while I'm reading this. Like, I mean, right? Okay, so this takes place at a university, and our main character's name is Kendall, which, just as an aside, I hate that her name is Kendall. I hate that name. I don't know why. Luckily, the hero calls her Holiday a lot, which is her last name, and I like that so much better. So if your name is Kendall, sorry. I'm sure it's a perfect name for you. I just don't like it for a romance heroine name. Anyways, and then, so Kendall is a English major, and she works the night shift at her school's 24-hour library. And then Vincent is like the star basketball player for the university's, like, they keep saying Division I. I don't know what that means, but that's what he is. So he's like their star. It's not quarterback, because that's football. Star basketball player. That's all we need. Anyways, and he comes into the library one night during one of her shifts because he needs a poem for class. And they kind of get off on the wrong foot, and then they start to kind of like banter with each other, and they end up having like a really intense impromptu like makeout session in the stacks, and then it goes from there. So this is incredibly quick paced. A little bit of insta love. She does comment on how tall and how big he is multiple times, but I'm okay with it because she is also supposed to be tall. So if we got a tall heroine commenting on how tall the hero is, I can let it slide out. I'm okay with it. Anyways, so on paper, like if you wrote out the things in this book, I would be like, nah, I'm not interested. But for whatever reason, I don't know. For whatever reason, I am obsessed. I am having such a good time. I was like giggling and kicking my feet in bed last night, like absolutely swooning. It's also steamy, surprisingly steamy, and I'm also having a good time with that. Like normally I just kind of skim past the steamy scenes, but I really like how Annie Crown wrote the steamy scenes in this book. It works for me. The whole thing works for me, and it shouldn't, because I normally don't like contemporary romance. I want to like contemporary romance. I am so picky at this stage in the game. But anyways, also it's a Wattpad book. Like this was published by Wattpad. I usually don't like books that are published by Wattpad. I usually don't think they're well written, but I think this is really well written. Now it does get a little meta at times. Kendall is a big romance reader, and so there's a lot of discourse about romance novels and the way people stick up their nose at romance novels and the way society judges people who read romance novels. And I love all that because she's like preaching to the choir, but I will listen to that sermon every single time. I feel like maybe that could bother certain readers, the meta-ness of it, but I love it. It's my favorite. It's my favorite topic of conversation, or it's my favorite topic of book discourse. I'm having such a fun time. I will probably finish this tonight. I have no idea what rating I'm going to give it. If we're going purely on enjoyment, I'm probably going to give it 5 stars, but if I'm going to be a little bit more analytical, I don't know. But I might just rate it purely on enjoyment because I have such a fun time every time I pick it up, which has only been 2 times. I've only picked it up 2 times, and I'm almost done. I'm almost done. We already had our 3rd act breakup, which wasn't really a 3rd act breakup, and it was handled well, and it was over quick, and now, like, the rest of the book is just them being, like, in love and happy, and I love it. It's so nice. And then while I was making dinner tonight, I know we're still not done with the book updates. This is going to be such a long clip. I did start the audiobook for The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. And I thought I had this on audio for Libro FM, but I didn't. So I ended up using a credit to get it. I didn't want to finish this on audio while I was making dinner. I wanted to just soak it in. I started this and I am 4 chapters in, and I'm getting the same feelings at the beginning of this that I got at the beginning of Legends and Lattes. It's so exciting. So this is about Keela, who is a librarian at a magical library, and the library is set on fire and she has to evacuate, and she tries to rescue as many books as she can. And she also has an assistant named Kaz, who is a magically sentient spider plant, and I'm obsessed with Kaz. I'm obsessed with the attitude, with the dislike of fish, with the it's such a great, I mean, he's not an animal companion, but it's such a great non-human companion. It's so good. It made me giggle. It's just delightful so far. Anyway, so she escapes with as many books as she and Kaz can rescue and goes back to the island that she grew up on, to her family's abandoned cottage. And I think she's gonna open a spell shop. I don't know. She's just gotten to the cottage, and her visualization is that she and Kaz would live in this cottage with all the spell books and not ever have to see anybody from the village or interact with anybody from the village, and it would just be the two of them and the books. And then she realizes, oh, I need food and toothpaste and medicine for if I get sick, and I can't actually exist in just this little bubble. I have to interact with the village to survive. And so I think it's going to be fun. It's the little tag on the cover says, "It takes a village to open a heart and just one man to steal it." So I think there's going to be a little bit of a romance. I'm excited. I just have such good vibes from this already, and I think it's fingers crossed. I'm getting 5-star feel. So that could all go sideways. I'm only on page 28. There's 350 more pages where it could go wrong, but I'm really hoping that the momentum from this continues to this. Okay, I've been talking for 10 minutes. I'm exhausted and I need to swoon and relax. I don't know how much reading I'll get done tomorrow. We're going to go to the beach because we only have 2 Fridays left before school starts. And I meant to go to the beach with the kids a ton this summer, and we haven't been at all. So we're going to the beach tomorrow. I'm debating whether or not I'm going to bring the spell shop. I don't know about the etiquette about bringing a library book to the beach, but we'll see. I would like to read it more tomorrow. It's a 4.5. Not because anything happened. It didn't go sideways. I had such a great time. But I know if I give it a 5, it will not still be a 5 at the end of the year compared to other things that I've read. So it's a 4.5. Hello friends. Well, I did not finish this vlog on Saturday. I went until Sunday because it just took me a little bit longer to read than I thought I was going to. Is that true? Probably not. Probably surprised actually that I finished it on Sunday and didn't have to stretch it until Monday or Tuesday. But anyways, I finished the spell shop, and look, I liked this so much that halfway through I went and I picked up my own copy from the bookstore. So is this still a library vlog? Who knows? But this was such a cozy, delightful, wonderful time. I think I gave you the very opening, so let's see what I want to tell you about that. Keela, like I think I said before, is a librarian in a library in the big city, and she's in charge of taking care of magical texts. And in this world, the powerful gatekeep magic from regular people, and Keela is part of that structure that keeps magic separate from everybody else. But then there is a revolution, and the revolutionaries set fire to the library, and Keela and her sentient spider plant friend Kaz barely escape, rescuing as many of the books as they can in the process. And the only place Keela can think of to go is the island that she was born on, and that she lived on until she was about 9 when her parents moved them to the big city. And I loved Keela. She's so awkward and she's not really outgoing. She's has a lot of anxiety and just isn't sure how to interact with people because of like the job that she's had for the past, I can't remember if it was 10 years or something like that. So she gets to this cottage and almost right away she meets her neighbor Lauren, who comes over to like see if she needs any help, and she is like, whoa, I don't know how to handle having somebody invade my space like this and want to help and just be like, she just doesn't know how to react. And so she's kind of like rude to him the first couple of times, but also like puts up boundaries, and Lauren responds wonderfully. So like, yes, this is like, it has a romance, but I wouldn't call this a romance, even though there is an HEA. But I think the plot of the village and Keela building these friendships and finding community and learning to trust people, like that is really the plot, and the romance is just like icing on the cake, though it isn't the actual plot. And there is surprisingly a lot of action in this book, a lot of high stakes, a lot of adventure. I was pleasantly surprised by, especially at the end, how action-packed it was and how fast-paced it got, but I really loved it. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. And I really want to read Sarah Beth Durst's backlist now, because I know she has like an extensive backlist. She's been writing for a really long time, and I think writes a whole bunch of age groups, age categories, maybe. I don't know. This is her first book by Bramble, so they don't list her other books, which is frustrating to say the least, but yeah, 25 books. So I got a lot to keep me busy, but this is just like, if you want a book that is just gonna make you smile and give you all the serotonin, if you're looking for, okay, I do not say this lightly, because ever since I read Legends and Lattes and somebody is like, hey, this book is like Legends and Lattes, I'm the sucker that picks it up and then I'm disappointed because it's not like Legends and Lattes. The feelings that I feel, this one is like, the feelings that I felt were the same ones I felt when I read Legends and Lattes for the first time. So it was just absolutely delightful, and I loved it so much. Like, ugh, just so sweet. Now that I have a finished copy, I will probably at some point reread it and highlight it, because I think it's just, it's so wonderful. Also, can I just say, like, I love this chocolate cover. I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but the hardcover is this really beautiful, like chocolate brown, and then there's like this purple, like shiny lettering on the side. My husband said it looks like a truffle. It's great. So with that, we are going to end this very long vlog, and I get to move on with my reading life. But I have read, I mean, it was only 4 books this week, but what a wide range of books it was. Between Open Throat and Pink Slime and Night Shift and then this, like, whoa. It was a wide range of genres and topics and themes. I definitely think this was my most successful, and also Night Shift, like, clearly. But I've talked to like multiple people about Open Throat in this last week, so that one has also given me a lot of like small talk, interacting with people type stuff, so that's good too. But if you've made it to the end of this video, I would love to hear your thoughts on these books, if you've read any of them, what you thought of them. And if you want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, let's do some sort of plant emoji in honor of Kaz. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will talk to you all in the next one. Bye!